Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Mr. Hafid Ali and my friends who I'm proud of, and I'm Rosalia Uli from Group A, want to explain about theoretical approach to literature. And my group member are Siti Rahmawati, WAFI AFIFATU, and WANDA MUDAWWINAH. So, theoretical approach to literature as the classification of the genre of the and text types. The approach in literature also classified into many kinds of methodologies which has different characterization for each. All of the approach in literature reflect of a particular institutional, cultural, and historical background. Historically speaking, this systematic analysis of the text developed in the magic or religious and in legal discourse. And you can read in PPT because our group just discussed two theories. The first theories, the third theories is reader-oriented and approach. Reader-oriented approach developed in the 1600 called reception theory. Reader response theory or aesthetic or rapid reception. Reception theory is obviously opposed to a new criticism dogma of affective fallacy, which demand an interpretation fee of subjective contribution by reader. This approach assumes that a text creates certain expectation in the reader in every pass of reading. These expectations are then either fulfilled or left fulfilled. The reader expectation play a role in every sort of text, but it most obvious in literally genre like detective fiction, which depend very much on the interaction between text and recipient. Ed- Edgar Allan Poe's The Murder in the Rue Morgue is one of the examples of this approach. It guides readers' imagination and expectation in different directions. And for the characteristic of reader response approach is, but curiously emphasizes the importance of the active and communicative nature of reader response theory, which fits the purpose and the teaching practice in contemporary trends of ELT. What are the basic assumptions of reader response theory? And Rosenblatt theory uh, of reader response define the interaction of the reader with literary literary text as a variable which influence and change the text on the and construct meaning by Amar. And for the defines the theory as follow. It views the reading process as a transaction between the reader and the text in which the reader, with his past experience, belief, expectation, and assumption, interacts with the perspective in the text. And meaning is determined as the result of this transaction. This reading in this approach is a reflective and creative process, and meaning is self-constructed by Amar. And by Pick, Integration, and Pena, define a reader response approach in classroom as follows. The transaction is one where the shape of the gap or entrance in the text is determined by the shape of the reader who enters as well as the text being entered. Essentially, different readers cause the gap to adopt different shape. Further, what is indeterminate for one reader may not be indeterminate for another. This means that reader influence the literary text have the power to change them and interact with them. In other words, they have similar role to author as explained by Jasmine. Is the reader co-author the literary text. and why implementing reader response theory in introductory literature course and the characteristic of development model. A number of activities or techniques can be used in order applied to reader response approach in literature classroom. By Amar, list the following is one, reading logs, and two, response journal. Next, critical questioning and writing, and self questioning and role play, drama and letter writing, and rewriting narrative from another character's point of view. Now, all the achievement listed above provide students with an opportunity to convey their personal response to literary text. And according to Harding and Thompson, in the moment the reader has the level of basic and understanding of the text, they take or they take the role on record and three main process are developing as the result of the text reader interaction is one, empathizing, and and the second is evaluating character, and the third, accepting or rejecting the value of other. And by Thompson, proceed to define the levels of development model as follow. Level one, literal understanding. Information presented in a given text, short, for example, according to Thompson, students read at the level of basic understanding without paying close attention to the details or inflow analysis. At this stage, as the abstracts, uh, as described by Thompson, characters are seen mostly in term in offset stereotypes and only as good or bad, redirect and from only simple mental image or anticipated further action, but only in very short terms. And level two, empathy, which include personalizing in text, realizing the text with student own lives and sympathy with some of the character. Readers are interested in character and in motivation of character in more complex terms, analyzing not only action but also consequence. Level three, analogy, a stage during which readers learn about their own lives through making connection with character and creating connection between their personal experience and fictional even described in literary text. Level four, reflection, a stage a stage during which leads to deeper understanding of other people and their motives, during which the reader think about the event and think about the event that the behaviors in text, thus evaluating the character and theme of story. Level 5, evaluation of fiction is the five stage which involve seeing the entire literary text as the construction of the author. At the same time, this stage involves the analysis of other social and cultural values and comparison with student value. Level 6, recognition, the stage during which the reader are aware of the textual function of the reader and the author. And the benefits respond to implementation is one, by probes. One is still student will learn about themselves, student will learn about others, student will learn about culture and society, and student will learn how to take shape or talk or automation. And last theory is context-oriented approach. This term refers to heterogeneous group of school on and methodologies which do not regard literary text as self-contained. Independent work or art by but to try to place them within a large context. It is divided into two parts, and Mark, Marquis' literary theory is based on the writing of Carl. It examines the condition the condition of production is in certain literary plot and their influence on the literary text of the times. A new historicism. New historicism arose in us in the 1980. It built on post-structuralism and deconstruction with their focus and text and resource, but adds in historical dimension of the discussion of literary text. For example, Shakespeare's works are viewed as a concern with the historical document and discovery of America, and B, feminist literary theory and gender theory. Feminist literary theory born on the movement of people, especially women, which has strongly established academic discipline. Feminist literary theory start with the assumption that gender difference is an aspect which has been neglected in traditional literary criticism and therefore argue that traditional domain of literary criticism have to be re-examined from a gender-oriented perspective. In the development beginning in the late 119 6. Thematic issues such as the portrayal of women in literary text by males stood in the foreground. It showed that men are dominated women. In the interpretation of literary text, it is important to decide to suitable for the text at hand and can lead to new results, although a text might imply certain approach because of its thematic, historical, of structural qualities. Different approach may often produce more original and rewarding result. And that's all from me. Thank you very much, and I do apologize if I made mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.